All right. Good. Is it still morning? I think so. I'd like to call this meeting of the Full Appropriations Committee to order. And somebody shut the door, please. We got a rowdy crew out there. I would like to ask Chairman Perkle if he will open us in prayer.
Bow with me, if you will. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, in the quietness of this hour, we thank you for your provisions on us and the grace. Lord, grant us wisdom. Thank you for those that have come before us. Give us wisdom as we look on the resources, be good stewards of the resources that we've been allocated for the betterment of the folks of this great state. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Before we get on the business today, the full committee, just so you know, we will be having a meeting Thursday at 2 p.m. to vote on a bill, a separate bill than the budget. So Thursday at 2 p.m., just so you all know. And I'm going to turn this over to Secretary, what's your name, Meeks? Steve. To run it while we hear another little bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Secretary Meeks. Let's if y'all pull out your sheet, and we're going to go through line by line. Just kidding. We're going to do that in 30 minutes. No, if y'all been watching since 9 and been tuned in, y'all know we've got some really good stuff in this budget. House Bill 915, the amended fiscal year 24 budget, is set by a revenue estimate of $37.5 billion, an increase of $5 billion, or 15.6% over the original FY24 budget. For the first time in a number of years, agencies were able to ask for 3% enhancements in both the amended FY24 and next year's FY25 budget. Agencies were also allowed to ask for strategic one-time enhancements that move the needle on program outcomes, improve customer service, or provide significant improvement on how services are delivered to our citizens. The requests that were submitted highlighted great need across state agencies. With additional funds that are being recognized in this budget, the House joins the governor on the wise use of tax dollars with one-time needed investments in technology, capital, and economic development projects, as well as human capital investment. There are many areas where we agree with the governor on the budget, including $1.1 billion in one-time capital investments, an unprecedented figure that doesn't even include the proposed FY25 additions. Some of the most significant projects include $450 million to continue the construction of a new state prison in Washington County. We're all aware of the safety and security concerns within the state's prison system. This new modern facility has specially designed features to keep both inmates and correctional officers safe. $135 million for existing prisons statewide to make much needed repairs. In higher ed, $178 million to design, construct, and equip a new dental school at Georgia Southern University in Savannah, and $50 million for the design and construction of the medical school at the University of Georgia to meet the growing healthcare needs of Georgians. $81.2 million for the major renovations, repairs, and demolitions at University System of Georgia institutions statewide, and $15.8 million for B unit projects to address a backlog of need. $35 million to the Atlanta Farmers Market to make needed improvements. Along the lines of human capital, the House supports the governor's recommendation of $300 million to provide the one-time salary supplement of $1,000 for state employees and teachers to stabilize the state's workforce. One item I'm particularly proud of is the unprecedented $500 million strategic investment in the employees' retirement system to improve the funded ratio and long-term financial viability of the system. This infusion speaks to the long-term needs of the plan and the desire to return to 80% funding and a healthier COLA for our retirees. Among the less glamorous budget items, but sorely needed, include $250 million to the Georgia Fund to support water and wastewater infrastructure development through low-interest loans to our local communities. $158.5 million to the Technology Empowerment Fund at the Georgia Technology Authority for new and ongoing projects to update state agency IT systems, many of which are more than 20 years old. This includes the Next Gen project to replace the state's aging time management and human resources system, a project at the Department of Labor to replace the antiquated unemployment insurance application and migrate to a cloud-based system, and enterprise-wide projects at the Board of Regents to replace financial, human resources, and student information systems. $250 million in the Department of Administrative Services to address workers' comp settlements, growing liability expenses, and increases to property insurance costs. Shoring up these funds helps avoid deficits and allows the departments to settle claims to promote savings and cost avoidance. Moving on to economic development, the House supports an addition of $100 million to the One Georgia Authority to support rural economic development projects and expand grant opportunities for rural site development, and $100 million to the Regional Economic Business Assistance Program for economic development projects. This program helps to make Georgia more attractive to businesses seeking to expand or relocate here. The House also supports the increase of $23.9 million to workforce housing initiatives. Begun just last year, this new program is already having quite an impact, with funding approved to construct more than 800 affordable homes in 6 communities. Shifting to education, more than $145 million is provided in K-12 formula earnings and $66 million to restore funding to the Board of Regents teaching program in the base. So where did we differ? There are a number of items in this budget to be proud of, and I'm thankful for the hard work of the subcommittee chairs and their members on fleshing out funding for these House priorities. A few highlights are: the House agrees with the governor's $1.5 billion investment in transportation projects above normal motor fuel funding for construction and maintenance, but makes some adjustments that include $659 million to expedite the department's existing pipeline projects, including those designated for economic development, $509 million for infrastructure projects to promote freight and logistics, $200 million for a one-time infusion of funds to support local roads, $100 million in capital maintenance to continue resurfacing projects for the rest of this fiscal year, and an additional $27 million in airport aid and $4.2 million in rail to continue upgrades to our state-owned rail system. In the DBHDD budget, the House supports the department's request for alternative treatment by funding $664,000 for a new 30-bed jail-based program in Dodge County that would provide services to restore inmates to competency and address the forensic services backlog. $2 million to DBHDD for a pilot program to implement transportation alternatives for individuals experiencing a mental health crisis. This pilot can provide relief to local sheriffs who currently are providing this transportation. $10.4 million to provide the construction of a child and adolescent crisis stabilization unit in Savannah. There are currently only 5 other facilities in the state to serve children and youth in crisis. This 15-bed facility can open and begin treating youth in spring of 25. The corrections budget also includes a $9 billion infusion in safety and security projects in existing facilities, with an emphasis of putting an end to the use of cell phones by prison inmates. and $5.2 million to house inmates at private prisons while repairs are being made at state facilities. $887,000 to provide a $2 per day increase to county correctional facilities that house state inmates. We've heard from a number of you that this issue is critical to your community. The state cannot afford to lose this bed capacity or wait until July to address it. The House version of the budget reflects this $2 increase for county correctional institutions effective April 1st, 24. $315,725 to the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council for a dedicated sexual assault nurse examiner coordinator in all state-funded sexual assault centers in Georgia without a full-time SANE beginning April 1st, 24. This funding will ensure the integrity of critical forensic medical examinations needed for the prosecution of sexual assault. As Georgia is redetermining its Medicaid population due to federal instructions, the amended FY24 budget recognizes a savings of $28 million above the governor's recommendation due to a decline in enrollment. It's a hope that some of these savings can be utilized in the FY25 budget to advance the priorities of the General Assembly from last session, including much-needed provider rate adjustments. Within the Secretary of State's office, the House version of the amended 24 budget includes $5 million for third-party ballot text auditing technology to allow the Secretary of State's office to audit and verify the validity of any election in the state without the use of a QR code. $1.7 million to account for the increased postage expenses when mailing new precinct cards, and $110,000 to improve election security by adding visible watermarks to the ballot paper. In education, the House includes $1 million to meet our obligation to fund AP STEM exams based on increased utilization. An additional $1.57 million for communities and schools to leverage a 3-year grant to expand the program to 10 additional school districts. By the 2025-2026 school year, CIS will serve 46 districts, 240 schools, and 140,000 students. $65,000 for technology updates and to further efforts toward increasing rural participation in the Governor's Honors Program. And finally, with the General Assembly's focus on literacy, the House version of the budget includes $8.9 million in lottery funds to allow DeKalb to continue the summer transition program at its current level of service. The summer transition program provides rising pre-K students and rising kindergarten students with extra support in language, literacy, and math to close the achievement gap. This additional funding would allow the program to continue providing these needed services to 396 classrooms and over 4,600 students. While I didn't hit every item, I hit the highlights, and there are many. I ask for this committee's favorable consideration, and Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to take any questions.
Well, thank you, Chairman Hatchett, for doing a quick run through of the FY amended budget, FY24 amended budget. I guess between yourself and the subcommittee chairs earlier this morning, there are very few questions. You actually just have one. Or Chairman Knight.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I want to thank the big chair. I tell you what, I mean that in two different ways. Hey, we got little chairs, but Chairman Hatchett, thank you. You've done yeoman's work, and we continue to fund Georgia. We do it in the right way with the right philosophy. We've invested in Georgia, and I want to thank you. And at that, I'd like to make a motion. We do pass our House bill amended. House Bill 915 before us.
Thank you, Chairman Knight. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the FY24 amended budget, House Bill 915? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries, and the bill is approved. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will say I'll be around for any questions, and people, all the staff from the House Office of Planning and Budget is here if you have any questions. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are adjourned.